welcome back to Become a Bat. This is the 53rd episode, which I don't think 53 has any significant value anywhere at all. I'm your host, Tom.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are tackling Detective Comics 75 and 76. And we teased that a very significant addition to the Batman mythos first appears in this story.
We don't need to spoil it right now. We can spoil it. We can announce it when we get to that page.
Yes, we'll announce it. It just kind of like happened suddenly. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very, very random. And like it totally, they act like it's been like this forever.
Yeah. All right.
That's how you know it's good. Because they just play it off like it's no big deal.
Yeah. So let's begin with Detective Comics 75, The Robber Baron. This is the May 1943 issue, art by Jack Burnley and George Russos, written by Don Cameron.
Yay, May.
You want to describe the cover?
Yeah, but also, hey, it's almost May, and we're both May babies, so...
Yeah. Only two more weeks?
Yeah.
Yep. We're recording this one on... Actually, it'll be even less than that, because we're recording 2 episodes back-to-back, so... Yep.
So, the cover here is black. It looks great. It's very high contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Black background, red font with like a yellow outline, and then you have this like bright yellow. What do they call those? The castle turret,
castle column turret thingy.
Yeah, the top of the
spire?
Tower of the castle.
It's not a spire.
In the foreground, it's sort of like at an angle, and then you've got Batman and Robin climbing up the side to get to the top, where the robber baron is poised with a gun and pointing it at Batman's head. And then background, we just have like another little part of the castle. It's like a darker orange color. Mm-hmm. It gives it a little bit of depth, but it's still a very simple cover, and it's a very effective cover.
They are still like trying to make Boy Commandos a thing. I wonder how popular that was.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember like when they first like introduced it here, like there was like special like Boy Commandos, and like Batman like shared the cover spotlight with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, ever since they realized Batman's the thing for Detective Comics, it's pretty much just been Batman.
Give up on those Boy Commandos.
I wonder.
On the Batman.
Yeah, it's probably we probably won't get till like after World War II ends until like this Detective Comics just becomes a Batman comic and without like the other characters.
Right.
The splash page is really gorgeous.
Yeah, it reminds me of Batman or Detective 31.
It's actually got a very kind of almost similar composition to the last splash page we talked about with the Nazis one. Yeah,
with like something at the bottom and something at the way up at the top, and then like the juxtaposition. Yeah, it's similar. But it definitely reminds me of the Monk cover with the Monk in the background and the castle, and then Batman in the foreground. Yeah, it's very similar to that too.
You get a feeling that they just want to draw castles sometimes.
Who doesn't?
So are we done with this splash page, or should we?
No, okay. I'll describe it briefly. It's not like my favorite splash page, but it has a lot of sort of like things that it reminds me of. But it's a castle, and there's like a winding road coming down from the castle. At the base of the page, we have the robber baron, and he's looking up at the castle in disdain. When you see Batman and Robin swinging from the turrets, and they're kicking off like these gangsters who are climbing up the side of the mountain and shooting at them. Mm-hmm. And then you see Gotham City in the background. It's very simple.
It's kind of weird. It's a weird contrast to see like this just like European medieval castle.
Yeah.
And then in the background is like the then modern, American, metropolis.
Right.
Very weird.
Yeah. You want me to do this one here?
Yeah.
Or, okay,
yeah,
cool.
Go for it.
Sinister figures streak through the night, far above the rooftops of Gotham City, as the robber baron swoops upon the unwary like some grim marauder of medieval times. Barred doors cannot stop him. The utmost vigilance of the police cannot trap him. None can tell when or where he will strike next. But those fiercest fighters for justice, the Batman and Robin, have tackled overwhelming odds before, and a slender clue speeds them along a trail of high adventure to pit sharp wits and supple muscles against the amazing secret perils of the Baron Robber. The Robber Baron. Damn it!
Oh my god.
The Robber Baron.
All right.
Damn, I'm 0 for 2.
Real quick too, like the Batman logo up top is really cool. Like that color gradient.
It's like Zur-En-Arr Batman.
Yeah.
Purple and yellow and orange.
Unusual for the time.
Yeah.
The first panel is like one just like there. It's in the splash page. is there to get your attention. And it's very striking. You're like, what? It's Batman. It what appears to be Batman getting shot full of holes.
Riddled with bullets.
Yep. But it turns out it's the robber baron who's like this old timey 19, like 20s, like top hat, monocle guy, with the cape.
Yep.
And he's, like those goons like, yeah, very good shooting a Batman. And it's a dummy.
Yeah, they got a dummy with the full Batman suit on.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, that's what we'll do to Batman when we see him. So anyways, they got a pretty generic plan of just like steal stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of fun to see them like they use like a cannon. They shoot a cannon at another like building, and the cannon like has just a rope and the hook, right? And they use that to zip line up the building, which I don't think the gravity on this makes sense.
It doesn't, unless they have like weird powered zipline things.
Yeah,
which is a thing, but I don't think it's a thing from back then.
It's not a thing back then, and even then, it goes against what the small things we know about the robber baron is that like he does like these old timey castle things and
Yeah.
using cannons. Like he's an old school guy, so
Yeah, his plans don't really make all that much sense when you try to boil them down, though.
yeah.
You didn't mention that the splash blades is a total lie, and he doesn't actually live in a castle. He lives in like a skyscraper with one single castle turret coming out of the top of it.
Yeah, it's like a modern day buildings, but with like gargoyles.
Yep.
Which we don't see very many in the Golden Age. That's interesting.
Yeah, not really. That's probably more of like a 70s or 60s edition.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, they steal jewels or whatever. They don't really say, but it just says like they rob this penthouse. And then he leaves a like a calling card basically, and the police are basically like confused. So it cuts to Batman's house or his apartment or wherever it is, right? Wayne Manor, his home, and he's got a butler, and the butler is delivering food to Batman and Robin in the Wayne house.
Yeah,
we finally have Alfred.
Right, it's just so casual. It just
Yeah.
The first panel on this page is Alfred, and he's like thinking to himself.
Yeah, and
It's not even Batman or Robin.
he's definitely okay. So when you think of Alfred, who's like what's the first like iteration that like pops in your head?
For me, it's the animated series.
It is for me too. Yeah, like it's
This actually makes a lot of sense though, because Batman is Sherlock Holmes,
Mhm.
and this Alfred is totally Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of like weirdly enough reminds me more of like not in appearance, but kind of like the characterization they went with like in like well, not year one, the Earth one, and then the movie The Batman, where like they always kind of go for like he was a Marine or like he's a soldier or whatever at one point, and
Yeah.
he's got some skills of his own.
I think that stems from him, like
Yeah.
them wanting to look at him and bring him back to his origins, but make him more important.
Yeah, but this one you kind of get this feeling like he's like they play it up for like comedy.
Yeah.
Because he's more portly. He's got like a bald head. Like what was that? That British guy, that British comedian in the 60s. Granted, I guess this was before his time.
I don't know.
The one with like the song.
I don't know.
Whatever. Okay.
I was gonna say that he kind of reminds me of a movie I just watched last night and a movie that I saw like a month ago. Which are like these silent films. They're sort of like physical comedy, but there's one called Sherlock Jr. And then the one I just watched last night was called The Monster, which I highly recommend. It's a Lon Chaney movie. And both of them feature like an amateurish detective who's trying his best to solve a crime involving murder, but he has to keep referencing his little how to be a detective book. And then like he takes things really literally and does stuff no one would do, but it works. Just like
Sherlock Jr. was Buster Keaton, right?
Yep.
Okay.
The other one's not, but it's really good.
So Batman and Robin, they're like looking over, their like little scientist like clue set or whatever. They're looking at a map, and Alfred like looks in, and he's looking at the microscope. He's trying to help them out, and he like points them to like where basically they think they see like an X, right, and they figure out like where the next robbery is going to be.
Yeah, like he puts little X's everywhere where the guy robbed. And then he like draws lines where they intersect, and then they
basically like do like a triangulation.
Yeah, they triangulate it. Except it's just, they wouldn't say that back then.
No, I don't think it's a triangulation, but it's like an equivalent.
Yeah,
it's the same logic. And it's gonna be the Bright Bros Brass Works, and Bruce and Dick they drive by. Oh, real quick, they didn't even really explain why they haven't explained why Alfred he's got a butler now.
He just does.
Yeah, they just kind of like play it off as like, yeah, he's had him,
Yep.
and he's the only person who knows who Batman and Robin are. So anyways, yeah, Bruce and Dick, they like drive by and they're like, oh, that's interesting. It's an old tower. They see the old tower on the on the thing too, right?
Yeah. It's apparently an abandoned factory. Didn't look like it in the beginning, but
Yeah. So they're like, okay, that's kind of interesting. So they come back as a Batman and Robin. They fly in, they infiltrate the place. They see the Batman dummy full of like the holes, and they're like, oh yeah, this is definitely the place. And then just then the robber baron walks in, and Batman picks a perfect hiding spot, which is like right behind his dummy.
yeah.
And then he calls out Robin, and then they like basically like have a little fight. The robber baron escapes, and then they shoot. Uh, he shoots his cannon on like to hook on the suspension bridge, Gotham's suspension bridge. And then Batman and Robin follow. Batman uses like the plane. Robin like uses like the pulley system thing, that the impossible one. They have like a fight on the bridge, which is actually really cool.
Yeah, it's well done.
Got one of those awesome silhouette shots. It's very much a Joker pursuit.
It is. And you know what? This silhouette thing you just mentioned, they do that twice in this one.
Yeah.
Where it's just it's middle of the day and all of a sudden it's pitch black at
Yeah.
nighttime.
Gotham has some very weird rules.
I know.
But the robber baron takes a gun and he shoots, and he hits Batman in the arm.
He's got shot in that same arm like 3 times.
Yeah, it's got to have like a hole in it where just bullets go in, and he's just gonna
go
like
right through.
Yeah, they just go right through, or he just like collects them and just like spits them out. I don't know. But Batman falls in the water, and the robber baron, like, he gets in a boat, and they fish Batman's like, not his body, but like he's basically dazed, and they just fish him out and put him back, and they're flying away on the boat. So anyways, Alfred is at home, and I don't know if he's like living at the mansion or Wayne Manor or whatever, but he's basically just like reading his like How to Be a Detective book. So they're very much framing him to be like a detective. He's like a very much active part of the Wayne, mythos from the get go.
Like, he is an amateur detective and he wants to be better because he works for Batman and Robin. Duh.
Yeah.
I want to mention a panel real quick. One page back here. It's the one where Batman's falling off of the bridge. There's one panel where he's like suspended upside down. It looks like he's just falling.
Yeah.
And his cape is like falling the wrong direction, but it looks like he's a bat hanging upside down from a bridge for a second.
It does, yeah. Very, very weird. So yeah, Alfred basically wakes up and he's like, I got to do something. And then he goes out in the docks, and then he sees like the boat, and he's like, oh shit, Batman's in trouble. And then he kind of like gets their attention, and he's like, oh, you're the robber baron, and they're like, bring him. So anyways, they tie him and Batman up, and they're about to do like their next like grapple to the police. They're grappling to the police station. And then Robin, like, he's been following the whole time, and he gets in the plane, and then he jumps out of the plane. He saves Batman and Alfred. Alfred like gets up and he like headbutts one of the dudes. It's a nice headbutt. Yeah. And
what does Robin say when he headbutts the guy? He says something really weird.
Let's see. Okay, so in the first panel, he says, let's see, a bullet butt you right out of the picture, sap. It might, bingo, but not if I biff you out first.
I thought he said something really weird. Maybe
it is weird.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. It's just like their weird, cheesy fight dialogue. But...
Yeah. And then Gordon's like, it shows Gordon, like, he's just sitting there, like standing in his office, and he's looking outside, and he's like, there are 3 men like tied together, rappelling on a rope. And then he's like, let's get on the roof, check this out. And then, he sees the note from Batman, and then everything's good at the end.
Yep.
I think they just wanted like an excuse to just draw like all these like weird rappel rope jokes and like gags.
Or maybe they were like, maybe they're preparing to do like the grappling hook for Batman. This is like one of the first times we've seen like a real grappling hook so far.
Yeah,
maybe this is gonna seed that sort of idea to where like Batman has his own grappling hook now.
Yeah.
You never know. We'll see. Because
you know what else also, like, they introduced batarangs in like the first or second issue.
He hasn't used them like at all
in years. I wonder if that's like one of those mandates. Like, we can't have this guy using these like
weird metal
batarangs.
objects. Yeah, throwing them
Yeah.
at people's heads.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I was thinking of, by the way. In the last panel, when the three of them are like talking about what just happened,
Hmm.
Bruce says that he certainly used his head against those crooks because I'm sure that his little detective book said use your head. And then Dick says butt hard, but he says butt like butt because it's a headbutt.
Yeah.
It's not really that funny, but it's funny because it's a bad joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
Butt
scene of
hard.
Alfred like freaking running at that gangster with his head out and just like headbutting him in the stomach.
Yeah.
Props to him.
You know, he kind of reminds me of Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, he has that same kind of look with like the
Yeah.
overly like big mouth and the lips and whatnot.
Yeah, very rotund
Or
guy.
mouth and the nose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Any final thoughts on this one before we move on?
I really like the art in this issue. It's a little bit different than usual, and there's a
Mhm.
couple panels in particular that jump out at me, and they're all like side profiles of Batman. Like, look at this one here.
Yeah.
They look very Adam West like, even though it predates it by quite a bit. You know, like his ears have a different shape, and just the cowl's drawn differently. I really like the art in this one.
It's a solid story.
It's a solid story. It has good art. It's better than like most of the stories we've been reading recently. I like it a lot.
Yep. And a good introduction to Alfred.
Yeah, definitely. That makes it very important.
So, we're going to take a quick break and get to Detective Comics 76. I really like the art in this issue a lot.
This one's really interesting, and I have some observations about the art in this one too.
Mm-hmm. So this is Detective Comics 76, Slay 'em with Flowers,
What a weird name.
right? So art by Jerry Robinson and George Russos. It doesn't credit Bob Kane at all.
It does. It looks so abnormal compared to the other Jerry
It
Robinson stuff,
really
but
does. Written by H.L. Gold. I have just a little blurb from him from the DC Wiki. It says Horace Gold was a science fiction writer and occasional editor. Briefly worked at DC Comics and a few issues of Strange Adventures and one issue of Detective. Okay, yeah,
This is it.
This is it.
His claim to fame.
However, his career in comics has ended when he was drafted to World War II. Upon his return, Gold started working for several other magazines along with his brother Floyd Gold. So not a whole lot with him.
Yep.
They probably, it's kind of a shame they didn't, like, unless you're like one of the big like breakout dudes, like, you know, everybody knows, like Stan Lee or
Mhm.
Jack Kirby. There isn't a lot written about like a lot of these guys.
No, most of them just sort of like faded into obscurity, and they're only known nowadays because historians have gone back and done their research.
Yeah.
So, one thing that's weird to mention about this issue,
Mm-hmm.
the cover and the splash page are like almost identical.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. I actually, looking at it, I like the splash page better.
I think the splash page definitely has more going on. I see why they took extra details out for the cover, or why they added extra details for the splash page, but you know, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a blue background. It has the red detective banner with yellow font, and then in the corner, covering up the CS from detective, you've got the Joker, and he's popping out of a giant flower, shooting a poison gun at Batman and Robin, who are on what appears to be a giant table with a giant flower that Joker's coming out of, and there's cutting the stem so that he falls or dies or something. And then there's like a collection of flowers in the bottom right hand corner. It's like a giant object cover again. You know, they have the giant pair of scissors that they're holding to try to cut the flower. It kind of also reminds me a little bit of like that Genie in the Lamp cover with Joker, how he's like coming out of the smoke, only here he's coming out of the flower.
It's interesting to note. I mean, it doesn't really change anything, but in the cover, like Joker spraying the poison.
Yeah.
And on the inside, the remake version, I don't know which got made first, but
There's no poison.
There's no poison.
Yeah. Also, like the flower stem on the cover looks like it's dead, dying because the poison's coming out, and the one on the splash page is more vibrant and alive.
Yeah.
So there's some weird little changes between them, and there's just like a watering can in the background on the splash page.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, like it's the same. Like Batman and Robin just look like straight up traces. So,
all right, let me give this a shot here. It's on like two different notes here.
mm-hmm.
Like so like half of it is on like a note on the left side of the page, and the other half is on like a box on the other side. When crime lashes out at Gotham City with jeering evil laughter, there's only one answer: the Joker. Malevolent mountebank eh, of the underworld is back with more brazen tricks up his capacious sleeve. This time, the deadly prankster turned gardener of gangsterism and reaps of golden harvest of loot until the Batman and Robin plow with scythe-like wits and thrashing fists into the Harlequin of hate, whose latest slogan is "Slay 'em with flowers."
The gangster. Oh, wait, sorry. The
Yeah,
gardener of gangsterism. I'm not gonna forget that one. That's
that's
'cause it's
good.
right up there with the Ace of
Yeah.
Knaves, of course.
Real quick, also, just Joker's ears in this are like make him look like an elf or an alien.
Yeah, he's drawn kind of strange,
Yeah.
but his face in this one right here looks identical to that cover where he's like holding those two pistols and Batman and
Oh
Robin.
yeah.
Yeah, this is almost this. That's the one I was talking about where I said like Genie in the Lamp. He's not really
Yeah,
coming out
yeah.
of the
I know
lamp,
what you mean. Yeah.
but it's positioned the same. It's
I'll
like
have to
the
like
same.
compare them. Maybe there's like almost a
Yeah.
trace or something.
Yep. Anyways,
I like
okay.
how thin the lines are in the art.
Hmm. Yeah, it looks very different. I feel like in this one, Bob Kane sort of was like on vacation or something,
Yeah.
so he didn't have that like final say over how the art turned out. So it looks less like his than anything that we've seen for the most part. And it's got a lot of really thin lines, not much black. You know,
This is like the same art style. I think the Tweedledee and Tweedledum issue, like
I bet
that
you
one
that
was
was a Bill Finger one with no Bob Kane or something too.
Jerry Robinson.
Or Jerry
Yeah,
Robinson.
but yeah,
My bad. Sorry, Bill.
yeah. I like it. Okay.
Anyways, so here we see Joker and his henchmen inside of a flower shop. It turns out that Joker is running the Petal Flower Shop in disguise. He's got a bald cap and some face makeup that makes him look like a normal guy, sort of. He still looks pretty creepy.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of looks like Hugo Strange a little bit.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of like Hugo Strange and Doctor Savannah.
Yeah, he's got that misshapen head and like the creepy beady little eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway, some guy comes in to buy a bunch of plants for Mr. Jason Johnson, which is a terrible name.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he leaves, Joker's all smiley and happy and takes off his bald wig and discusses his plan with his men.
That panel, real quick, the one where he's like looking in the mirror and like adjusting like
It's
the
really good.
it's very Killing Joke.
Yeah, like peeling off the bald cap and you're seeing like his smile and his creepy eyes and
Yeah.
everything, but you're only seeing it in the mirror. You're not seeing it.
And like the colors really remind me of that too, where
Yeah.
it's just got that like really, I don't know how to describe it.
I love Joker interaction with his henchmen when
Mhm.
he knows the whole plan and they don't know shit.
Yeah.
Like it that's the Joker I think of when I think of the Joker. Like
You know,
he holds all the cards.
Batman does the same thing.
Yeah, I know he does.
He does it in this issue too. I was thinking about that too.
He
where
does that a lot
There's
too.
so many times where like everyone's like, what's going on, Batman? Why are you acting like this?" He's like, "It'll make sense later, Robin."
Right.
It's just like, just tell Robin now. Like he's your you know.
Sometimes he's full of crap though. He says that about Catwoman all the time, and it never
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
At least not to Robin. So anyways, he takes off his bald wig and his makeup and stuff, and then he and his henchmen are going to sneak into the house of Jason Johnson and rob him blind.
It's a pretty solid plan.
Yeah, they don't quite fully explain what's going on yet,
Mhm.
but then we see the bat signal. You know, so Batman and Robin are being called, and then we assume that they respond, but it doesn't really like show their interaction. It immediately cuts to the next day, right?
Yeah.
It shows the bat signal painted in the sky, so we know that they're out trying to figure things out because the Joker was out. He left his calling card behind after he robbed the guy, but they're not sure what's going on. All they know is that like the house was robbed and that everybody was asleep, right? And so he was able to just waltz in and waltz out and take all the stuff and had no kind of like.
It's a clean operation.
It's a clean operation and it's a kind of ingenious idea.
Yeah.
But
uncharacteristically no nonsense.
yeah. So anyways, Bruce and Dick are trying to figure out what's going on. They head to the top of the rooftop garden, and they see, as Batman and Robin, the men that were knocked out from what we're about to find out here. So it looks like Joker has been going in with like these plants that he has some sort of device inside. They're going to detail in a panel here, which is actually pretty cool. That releases something into the air that knocks these people unconscious. Right?
Yeah, it was like what is that gas? Chloroform.
It's a chloroform gas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty good idea. Batman and Robin confront the Joker and his men. Batman decks him in the face in a really cool panel where it's, I don't know how you would describe this art, like noodly, wiry, like.
I don't know. It's so unique in like from what we're used to. It's like less cartoony and the way everybody is drawn as like more lanky and
Yeah, they
taller.
lanky, taller, skinnier, like, but they
Yeah.
have big, big hands and big feet.
Yeah.
Especially in some panels, like their hands are almost bigger than their heads.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. I like it. So, anyways, Batman and Robin are fighting the Joker and the Joker's men, and then all of a sudden they start to feel dizzy, and they can't figure out why. Maybe it has something to do with the plants, but they're not sure. They pass out, and Joker and his men throw them into an elevator. I guess I should have mentioned that him and his men were wearing gas masks.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin are not wearing gas masks. They should have known earlier that they were going to start feeling dizzy because everyone else in the room was wearing gas masks. They wake up in the elevator, though, and the elevator is plummeting because Joker and his men cut the cord. Somehow, when things like this happen, like Batman gets an adrenaline spike and he wakes up in time to be able to figure things out. And it's as simple as pushing the emergency stop lever.
Batman calls this an automatic elevator.
Yeah.
So like this is the time where we still had like most elevators were like run by a person,
Right.
which is weird to think
We got
about.
cutting edge technology right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, their hands are like tied together, so they're like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And then Batman just like uses his chin
Yeah.
to flick a switch.
There's so many times where like they're tied up and like he's got to like do stuff awkwardly with his like head and face.
I know, right? The one thing I didn't understand here though is like he flicks the switch with his chin, and then the elevator stops, and then they crawl out, and their hands aren't bound anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what happened there?
Yeah, that's probably better off screen.
Yeah, it's okay.
There's no like unawkward way of showing what happened there.
Mm-hmm. So they decide to go visit Jason Johnson's place.
Also, another thing too, like just because Jason Todd is so like like entrenched in the Batman lore
And
Joker, but like I can't not like read the Batman saying the word Jason and like not think of Jason Todd.
I know,
Even though it's
it
like decades later,
kept
and
tripping me up when I was
and it's
trying
like
to
a
read this.
generic name, so
Yeah.
it's a common name. Yeah.
Anyways, back at Jason Johnson's house, Batman and Robin are checking out the flowers, trying to figure out what's going on with them. Robin thinks that he saw a sign with a name at the flower shop. So that said Ames. So they go to the flower shop, Petal's flower shop, where the Joker and his men are running it, and they start trying to check out the plants. They don't find anything wrong with them, so they can't quite figure out what's going on. Batman and Robin decide to they follow the Joker, right?
Yeah.
To try to figure out what's going on. And they end up running into them, pulling off some other kind of caper. Dude, I'm butchering this.
It's fine. It's fine. I really like this panel. Like the Joker gets away. Like they get away right by gassing Batman and Robin again.
Are you talking about the one where his lips look all weird?
His lips look all weird, but like I just love this coloring here. Like the composition. Joker's like in the corner here. He's shooting his gas gun, and Batman and Robin are like in like the other corner, and they're so small. There's a big gas cloud like coming out of them, and like Batman and Robin are colored like this like yellow and blue, and it's psychedelic. Like there's some psychedelic coloring in here, and even though this like before like psychedelics were like a thing.
Yes, you're right. So I guess this is the florist shop. They're not doing a good job with some of these panels. This is supposed to be the same shop that they were just in. They're in a florist place, and Joker and his men are in there. They see the Batmobile pull up, and they panic, and then Batman and Robin run in and start throwing punches, right? Then the Joker pulls out a gas gun, because he's had a gas gun since his first appearance, and gasses Batman and Robin. And then all of a sudden, they're all back in gas masks.
Joker in a gas mask looks cool.
It does. I like the way it's drawn here a lot, too. It reminds me of that issue, or that episode of Batman, the animated series, where he's on like that barge with all his henchmen, like the clown robot and stuff.
Yeah, freaking clown robot.
Yeah. So anyways, back to what's going on. Inside Fillmore's apartment, which is the next place Joker is going to rob, he takes Batman and Robin, and he pushes them into another room, and then he steals whatever he needs to steal, and then exits the scene.
Yep.
Batman and Robin wake up, and it looks like in this panel here, there's still chloroform gas like filling up the room. That's the only panel you can see it in, but basically like Joker's trying to gas them out and kill them by like overdosing them on chloroform,
which is very deadly. I don't know if you ever heard about the very like infamous incident in Russia, like I don't know, 20 years ago. There was a group of like terrorists or hostage men or whatever, right? And they took a whole like theater of people hostage.
Okay.
And either the Russian police or military they basically had this idea as like, all right, we'll just sleeping gas them out,
Oh yeah.
right? So they tossed in like sleeping gas, and it killed everybody in there.
Oh shit, because it was too much.
Yeah, because you need like you can't just use sleeping gas and
Yeah.
like just it doesn't work like it does in the movies.
Right.
Like that's why like anesthesiologists are a thing. Like they need somebody to monitor that, and
It's different for everybody. Too,
yeah. So just doing like this, just X amount is just it's asking for bodies.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an urban legend or not. I think it's true.
It sounds like
I,
something that could definitely happen.
yeah, it's no joke.
Regardless, I totally wasn't reading this corner panel here. And this is no longer chloroform. He uses the chloroform to knock out all the other guys.
Mhm.
But this time, what he does is he traps Batman and Robin in the kitchen and he turns on the gas. So they're being gassed out by like real gas, not just
Yeah.
chloroform gas.
Oh right. At the kitchen range.
Yeah. And so then what they do, like they're trying to break down the door, but they can't because they're too weak from inhaling the gas.
Yeah.
But Batman thinks quick, as Batman does, and he pulls the pins of the door out, which still wouldn't be that easy.
Yeah.
But he does it, and then the door just like falls open, and they're able to get out. When they get out, it looks like
They grab one of the plants and like they take it back to Wayne Manor to like
yeah,
kind
to
of
like investigate it.
to dissect it, and it's a very interesting like setup there.
Somehow, like Fillmore is awake already, even though when the police show up, everybody's unconscious still.
Yeah.
This guy is not unconscious. So they take the plant back to the Batcave to check it out. Bruce Wayne decides that he's going to go to Petal's flower shop with Dick, and that they're going to purchase the same flowers so that they can try to figure out what's going on with this whole entire plan. Knowing full well that the guy running the shop is most likely Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like when I read that dialogue, he knows it's Joker.
Yeah, they make themselves targets.
Yeah. And then we cut back to Wayne Manor or the Batcave, where they're like holding one of the Joker plants behind a fluoroscope so they can see what's inside. And inside is this little tiny pump. It almost looks like a CO2 cartridge or something.
Yeah.
Hooked up to a timer and a battery that releases the chloroform into the air. It's hiding in the soil of the pot.
It's a pretty ingenious setup.
And then he even says that like what they like when they buy the pots, they're not in there. Then he puts them in there. Then they take the pots to the house, gas them, rob them, and then take the little devices back out
Mm-hmm.
so that they don't leave any evidence behind.
Right.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. Alfred's involved in this too.
He is. It's like I was very conscious of like, is Alfred gonna return when we
Yeah.
read this? And like, I mean, obviously they kept them, but I'm like, is it gonna be a thing where they just introduce this element
Yeah.
and they're like they forget about him for years and they're like,
Not
oh
yet.
yeah, let's bring him back.
I know he changes a little bit over the next couple issues, but he doesn't go away. So anyways, they pretend to be knocked out. They tell Alfred what's going on, and they all pretend to be knocked out, sitting on their furniture, while Joker and his men bust in and steal like all of their stuff.
Yeah.
At least that's what it seems like when they wake up and dress up like Batman and Robin, because then Alfred says something about like, bring back our possessions or there won't be anything for me to bottle. That makes me think that they just sat there while they robbed them blind.
Yeah, I do like how like Alpha's like, oh no, I don't want to pretend to be dazed. Like we could just take him out. I could fight the Joker. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining.
So they wake up, they suit up. Alfred begs them to bring everything back. They hop in the Batmobile and they take off after Joker and his thugs, who have just headed out to get back to their hideout. And then there's this like moment here where Joker is like wishing that Batman wasn't dead because he wants him to see how cool their hideout is. But it's not cool. It's not like I liked his hideout earlier where it's like that haunted mansion with like all the like typical trap doors and stuff. This is just a house.
This definitely is like bringing in that like element of the Joker Batman dynamic where like he doesn't want the fun to end.
Yeah. Yeah. But guess what? Batman's not dead. He's right behind them. And Joker is freaked out. I don't know why he's surprised because Batman's hard to kill. Batman and Robin start knocking out all of his guys. Robin shoots Joker in the face with a hose and tells him here's something he ought to try more often. I guess that's a joke about taking a bath.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Or washing your face. Anyways.
It is kind of fun. He's like reversing the old the flower water gag, but he's like, yeah, you know what? It's a whole hose.
Yep. Then from the ground where he's been knocked down, Joker pulls out a gun and says he's going to shoot Batman in the brain. Somehow Robin hears it, and even though he's fighting like a guy in the background, and he takes a rake and he throws it, and it does this like sort of like 3D movie thing where the rake comes like flying towards you, the person looking at the artwork, and then he says, "Perfect, a 3 cushion, what is that? Carom?
I don't
Chin,
get it.
rake, and arm." Because he
Yeah.
hits the Joker in the hand, but he also somehow like Oh, okay. I see what happened. I was wrong. He doesn't throw the rake. He's throwing the guy.
Yeah.
There's a rake on the ground, and he throws the guy like a baseball. The guy lands on the rake part, and then the handle flies up in the air, hits Joker in the hand, and then his gun flies out of his hand.
Yeah. The
Well,
perspective is weird.
it's fucking weird, but it's a comic book, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe like the rake hits Joker's hand from below.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. 'Cause
Yeah.
the gun's like flying up and out.
Yeah, like the first time I read it, it just to me it looked like he's like, I'm gonna shoot you, Batman. And then like he heard Robin and he's like, oh shit, Robin's there too. I better run.
Yeah. This next part's great because then Joker and his men, they run into this greenhouse that they have, where it's all completely bulletproof, even though it's glass. And then they point their guns out these little tiny holes, and they start shooting at Batman and Robin, who are ducking for cover behind this tree. And then Batman has a great idea, so they just like run away, and they go over to like this little area where it like feeds water into the greenhouse to create moisture, and they dump chloroform in there.
Yeah.
And then Joker and his men fall asleep because they're being chloroformed. Then Batman and Robin just walk in and drag him out. And that's it. But my favorite thing about this issue is the end right here.
Just rubbing the salt in the wound.
Yeah, because it's Batman and Robin haven't been writing letters for a long time.
Yeah.
They've just kind of been solving crimes. And always the letters are signed Batman or the Batman with a little bat. This is the first letter that's signed Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
And they gave flowers to all the guys, all of Joker's henchmen, the same flowers that they were using to drug these people. But then Joker wakes up and there's like a card in his flower and it says roses are red, violets are blue. Your friends are going to jail and so are you. Love, Batman and Robin.
That's a lot of fun. Like Batman is like reversing it on Joker again. Like, and the Joker brought back like, you know, leaving people like a Joker card in this.
Yeah.
I don't think that's been done in a long time.
No, and he actually says it's my calling card too.
Yeah.
The only thing I would have liked more out of this issue that we didn't get is one more panel right after the close up on the card with Joker's face like super pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been good for like a little close up and just getting that salt right in there.
Yep.
All right, I think that wraps it up for Detective Comics 76. And next time we're gonna start Batman number 16. I don't have the names yet, but we'll have them up next time. I think that's about it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. This has become a Bat. Good night.
Later.